Obviously, even though this is just an ordinary law, undang-undang biasa, but it appears that from the close up of certain clauses that we have seen is obviously taken over the powers of the Yang Tanagong as far as emergency is concerned, because taking over ministry, and I think I never thought this state government can be taken over without going through Article 150. So this is, I think, is remarkable in a way, very creative on the part of Najib administration to come up with this. Yes, I mean it is something which is I never thought that we would be going through this. And when it comes to your question about there was this incident of the Yang Tanagong deferring consent to the amendment passed by both Dewan Rakyat and Dewan Negara way back in 1983 that provoked the crisis. That's one occasion where the Yang Tanagong suddenly realized that this amendment was going to take over their powers. And mind you, the reason why that happened was because of the letter wrote by the late Secretary General of UMNO, Sidney Rahman, in the papers. Those days in the early 80s, there was no internet, no WhatsApp, no whatever. So suddenly, Datuk Senu was talking about it, and he raised this issue. And Dr. Mahathir actually called the newspaper editors not to highlight this issue. The amendment to take away the power of assent belonging to Agong and the rulers, as well as to transfer the power to declare emergency from Agong to the Prime Minister way back in 1983, but was rejected by the Conference of Rulers after the Agong delayed or deferred the assent. So there is a possibility, and I think I agree very much with my colleague Andrew Koo, who happened to be, it sounded like a very form of monarchy tonight. Anyway, but as far as Senate is concerned, I've never, as far as I can remember, there has been no occasion whereby it actually exercised the power. And sometime in the mid-80s, I remember, Tan Sri, or the late Tan Sri Ben Stephen, the president of the Senate himself, made quite a scathing comment about the performance of the Dewan Negara since Merdeka, because they basically did nothing, So I think practically probably we can just lobby the rulers, because it's difficult to do this with regard to the MPs and senators, because I think the problem with them is their loyalties to the party, not to the constituency or the people. So even though these senators are basically appointed to represent the state, and they have got two senators representing the state, but I have to say that their loyalties to their party, not to the people, and issues like this may not appeal to them unless the party or their party feels strongly about it. And as of now, I think we only have how many? Six senators who on this side. So the majority are with the UMNO BM. And with the whip system and so on, it's actually difficult for the MPs and senators to go against their party. So I think the only option available to us maybe is put up a petition. And I think it started, And I'm not, of course, when it comes to throwing the bill out, even the court failed to do that, unlike in the US, They have, I think, the last count, something like over 1,000 legislation have been declared illegal in America since 1787. But over here, we have yet to see, except probably one or two sections declared by the court, not the entire statute or legislation. So that is the state of affairs concerning our institution. So perhaps I would like to comment about this. What will happen if Pakatan will come to power? To me, when it comes to this National Security Act, is pretty simple because you don't need to have a two-thirds majority. You can just repeal the law, and this is just, despite whatever we have to say about the actual impact of the provision in this particular bill, it remains an ordinary law. So it can just be repealed by Parliament without the need to have a two-thirds majority, right? Of course, as far as the Constitution is concerned, we cannot amend it anymore. I mean, you got to play within that framework, be it Pakatan or UMNO BN. We have got to go by that book. When it comes to the question about democracy and whether or not whether is it democratic to have Senate yang Tanago on the court? Let's welcome Dato'. Now, I mean, that is an interesting question and has been debated for, I think, decades or even centuries, The question whether unelected judges are in a position to throw out a law passed by elected people, or the same thing, unelected monarch to say no, to veto the wishes of the MPs, for example. And the same thing with the Senate, unelected, appointed senators to go against the wishes, so-called, of the MPs. But again, don't forget, this elected representative can, at times become the chambers of that go against the people, like in Malaysia now. Of course, officially, outwardly, the Dewan Rakyat represent the majority, but looking at the situation we have got, the Pakatan have got the 52%. Now, do you think that those majority of BN MPs in Parliament have got this legitimacy? Yes, they are legal representative of those constituencies, but I don't think they are actually a legitimate representative with all those gerrymandering and so on. So I think it's a good question, but again, in the Constitution, it's not just democracy in the sense that the majority rules, but also legitimacy. And of course, this is a hair-splitting argument, but the thing is, this is basically what check and balance is all about. Not always the majority wins, because sometimes you need reason, you need fairness, and this is where the judges come in. This is where the monarch comes in. Experience, fairness, and so on will have to be weighed in against just the majority. Not always majority rules, and this is where we have got all this provision in Malaysian Constitution, which seems undemocratic, anachronistic, and some of you may say ought to be abolished or whatever. But I think this is what we're going to do in an open system. Unfortunately, this is not the case now.
Yes, Mr. Koo.